Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. Welcome back, friends. I'm glad you're here. Welcome back to Chakras and Cusswords podcast. My name is Katherine and I am your host. And today we are going to talk about the blood full moon lunar eclipse that is happening in the sign of Libra. And this is occurring on March 25th, 2024 at 3:13 a.m. Eastern Time. And it will be at 5 degrees and 13 seconds of Libra. So it will be affecting the cardinal signs the most. If we are going to just go ahead and throw out which zodiac's going to be hitting with this celestial magic, it's going to be the cardinals. And if you are a cardinal sign, that means you are a Aries, a Libra, a Cancer, and a Capricorn. So let's get into it. Let's get into this full reading. I will be doing a reading for the 12 zodiacs through the 4 elements like I usually do. But for the ones that are going to be feeling it the most is definitely the cardinal signs. So let's get into this blood full moon lunar eclipse and talk about what does it mean. So we have a full moon lunar eclipse, and this is basically just a lunar eclipse. So don't freak out too much because you couldn't have an eclipse unless you had a full moon. So basically what happens is the earth passes between the sun and the moon, casting its shadow on the moon. This phenomenon is only occurring during a full moon and when the sun and the earth are aligned in a straight line, putting the earth right smack in the middle like a sandwich, like a cosmic energy sandwich. And we see this energy kind of as the shadow state. We do see eclipses as that strong area of emotion, a little bit of sensitivity, really kind of coming out. And we might feel it. We might be in our emotions. We might feel a little bit more hidden. We might feel a little bit more blocked. And that is expected with a full moon lunar eclipse. That's expected during eclipse season. And this is kind of why the astrologers will get into not creating huge manifestations during eclipses and why many of us should be working on our shadow work. And as somebody who likes to consider themselves in tuned with the areas of the world and the areas of the energy of the universe, I definitely think that it's appropriate to do shadow work during shadow season, as one would call it. So during a lunar eclipse, the Earth's shadow has 2 parts. The penumbra, which is the outer part where the Earth is partially blocked, not fully blocked, and the umbra. I always want to add an extra vowel in there for some reason. The inner darker part where the sun is completely obscured, blocked. It's just not showing. So there's 2 parts of this. When the moon passes through the Earth's penumbra shadow, it undergoes a penumbral eclipse, which is often subtle and difficult to observe. So we don't really see it. However, when the moon enters the umbra, it experiences a partial and total lunar eclipse. And I believe this one is more centered on a total lunar eclipse from what I've been seeing online. I don't think it's a partial. I think we already had a partial eclipse, and this is kind of like our full eclipse, depending on how deeply it enters the Earth's shadow. During the total lunar eclipse, the moon can take this reddish coppery hue color, and that's kind of where they come up with this terminology of a blood moon. The exact appearance of the moon during the lunar eclipse depends on the atmospheric conditions. Is it raining? Is it sunny? The amounts of dust, clouds, particles, all of that really creates a presence on how the eclipse is perceived, and really the Earth's atmosphere during the eclipse. So all of that stuff really matters. During a total lunar eclipse, the moon can take this area of observation where you can see it through the naked eye. And it can be enjoyed. I believe people say you're supposed to wear eye protection, or maybe that's only for a solar eclipse, because this is a lunar eclipse, so it's occurring during night. Definitely during a solar eclipse, you're going to want to wear some eye protection. But anywhere in the night side, you can see the Earth and the eclipse is visible. Now, if you're planning on waking up at 3:13 in the morning Eastern time, go ahead, get out there, see that eclipse. For us, I believe it would be 1 a.m. And I'm going to be honest, I'm probably going to be asleep. They occur on an average about twice a year. We'll hear about eclipses or eclipse seasons, especially the full eclipse. They occur in the area of the lunar nodes, right? The destiny nodes of the orbits. And currently we are in Aries season. So this is where our first eclipse is happening on the opposing side, because it's a full moon, and that would be on the Libra energy. So there's energies of, I would really say, reflection and interpretation when it comes to eclipses. And since it is happening in the energy of Libra, and especially in the energy of the cardinal signs, affecting those areas of maybe new steps we see with the relationships, I would definitely say we want to work on our shadow work. And when we think about the Libra, it's ruled by Venus. So I am feeling that there is a strong energy around relationships this eclipse season. Also, we're going to want to evaluate our life goals and our long-term goals with not only the relationships, but necessarily personal adjustments. And sometimes we have to remember that our energy of adjustments means that we have to reflect on ourselves. This would be a good time to get a lot of areas around journaling, I would definitely say, for this lunar eclipse. And with eclipses, we got to release and let go. It's just the name of the game. It's just the name of the game. You know, many of us believe that eclipses are a powerful time for releasing, especially in energies that we've been holding on to, and a lot of it's interpersonal. And this sometimes can really be centered around letting go of the bad habits, the negative thought processes, and the patterns, and seeing how we can let those go, especially if they are affecting our relationships or affecting our area of personal structure with also ourselves. It's not a huge time to create contracts. It's really not a huge time to create contracts. Or get into big, long-standing business or partnership deals or marriages during eclipse season. I mean, I guess, but until we've kind of come through the resolution that we are on the right page with ourselves. And a lot of us, putting in that shadow work is extremely hard. Putting in that time of looking at our own toxic traits and understanding that we have to hold ourselves accountable. So I know some people say, I just need to set intentions. Oh, that kind of, not necessarily intentions for the area of manifesting and creating goals, but I would definitely set intentions towards doing the shadow work, doing some meditation, looking at the inner child, also looking at the area of prayer, of connecting with the shadow state, seeing where the shadow has been hurt, seeing where that area of grief, betrayal, that area of childhood bonds of trauma might come back up in our areas of relationships. And it is a very, very tough thing to do, right? To look at the own energies that we've kind of brought into our pathway, the own energy of insight of the shadow that we have introduced in certain elements of our lives, because we have to remember that shadow work is very internal, very interpersonal, that area of letting certain habits go, understanding our certain own toxicities, letting that energy go at certain times. Eclipses can be intense, you know, it is an intense energy, especially if you have a lot of area of shadow that you need to work through. That physical, emotional energy can take a toll on yourself. So remember to introduce the self-care with relaxation, also to take in areas of aura cleansing, areas of taking in maybe like a soothing bath, releasing that stress. And if we're feeling the stress already from the energy of just the day to day, and then we hit eclipse season, it is a beautiful time to really dive into the self-care, really avoid making more stress upon yourself by making more goals and diving into that energy of self-care. And we do want to avoid the major decisions like we talked about, you know, starting a new project, starting a book during eclipse season might not really be that great, because eclipses are considered unpredictable. And it may not come out in any time soon of seeing a resolution. And what that might do is create some more self-doubt, some more shadow state. So many of the eclipses do not support long-term success. It just doesn't. It's not necessarily a good time to be focused on creating tons of goals. It's really that energy of reflection. It is a good time for you to definitely do the shadow state on the internal side, but also to connect with others. And sometimes connecting with others, you know, means doing shadow work as a couple or as a family, or understanding other people's emotional needs or other people's emotional connections to the energy around them. So it's taking time to reach out to the loved ones, to reach out to the family and friends, to reach out to the community, to reach out to people and see kind of like how are they been doing too, right? Especially if you know like it's kind of been something that's been brewing, or maybe it's been kind of intense in the home. This is actually a good time to look at what's going on not only the interpersonal state, but also bringing up that area of communication. And since it is happening in the energy of the Libra, I do feel like we are going to see this energy really kind of play fold with our areas of relationships and maybe some of our connections. So if we keep dipping down in that shadow state around the area of connections, we'll really feel it, right? We'll really feel it in the relationship, especially during this eclipse season. This is also a good time that we are going to want to look at that area of transformation. When we understand that we've worked through the shadow work and seeing both the personal and the collective goals, not to create the intentions right now, but to see where that energy of maybe shadow is coming from, and to allow it to just kind of sit with it, right? Just kind of sit with it. It's like when you're moving in a healing journey and just sitting with what it is that energy of release is. Releasing the old patterns and beliefs or relationships that are no longer serving us is really the fundamental areas of eclipse season and the shadow work, is understanding that some of these traits that we have brought in are not here for us anymore. They are not here for our lineage. They are not here for our area of generations. They're not here for our area of amplifying to continue to happen. And how do we let go of that? So really taking that time to do the shadow work is what I promote during eclipse season. But I will pull a few cards. And the cards that I am going to pull are basically going to be a oracle is going to be from the oracle deck. And it's not a huge reading because, in all honesty, I want you guys to set intentions towards creating that area of shadow work on a personal level. So this is just going to be what I feel that I am kind of feeling towards each zodiac, where I'm going to be centered around for each zodiac to kind of the elements to let go of to maybe concentrate on. But in all honesty, it's a very individual decision how we do our shadow work, how the shadow work takes place, how we let that area of reflection cycle in, right? So for those who know the rotation, we go with the fire signs first. And since this is occurring in Aries season, this means that you are either a Aries, a Leo, or a Sagittarius if you are a fire sign. So for the fire signs, I really want you to look at it at a universal area, at an area where it feels very much aligned in where you see yourself at this current moment, but also what it is of the shadow that you need to work on for a longer path, right? So diving into the early stages of the shadow work, but seeing how you can incorporate it, of kind of picking up this area again. If this means creating a energy where you start your first maybe journal entry. You know what I like to do is I like to journal, and I also like to look at journal entries and then maybe not necessarily start them quite yet. Maybe just look at them, think about them, and then write them. So look at that area of where it is that you would like to say to your younger self of where you are right now, and look back at those energies of the younger soul, of that energy of the younger one, and look back and say, what would I say to that younger person? What would I say to that younger me, right? That younger me, what would I tell them? Where would I tell them to release that? Where would I tell that younger me to really hold space towards? Where would I tell that younger me to kind of develop some new traits now? Because I see those traits kind of coming back up, right? Those areas of shadow kind of coming back in which direction? What would you tell the younger you, right? So look at it in a broader area for the fire signs of the older self, kind of giving the younger self the wisdom of where it is that you would like to reflect. Because this is a very personal space and energy when we are in shadow season. For the next element, we have the water signs. And the water signs, if you are a Scorpio, Cancer, or Pisces, this is you. For the water signs, I really want you to look at that area of the crown chakra space, definitely in the crown chakra space, but also definitely in the energy of the soul, of the spirit, of the energy of what is it that you feel solely centered on in a very personal and internal space of where you are almost like feeling certain energies coming back up, certain energies playing back again, and it's really all about you in this space, even though it is happening in Libra and we do have that energy of the partnerships, but really this is all about you and understanding it's all about me. It's really all about me, and I need to see where it is that I am maybe throwing some blocks up, building some walls, not allowing myself to open up, where that area of vulnerability really feels very scary. That area of trust feels very scary. That area of not understanding what it is that moves in the cycle of fully emerging in the let go. So if there has been something that continues to keep coming, to really sit, reflect, and let that energy go on a personal space. For the Earth signs, if you are an Earth sign, this means that you are a Virgo, Taurus, or Capricorn. This is a time we're going to let the love in. The personal love. The love and the messages from the universe. So this is the time that you are really going to open up that heart chakra energy. Really, really, really open up that heart chakra energy. And sometimes that's very hard, right? Opening it up. I see a lot of meditation right now for the Earth signs. Meditating, I feel like, is something that they need to get centered on. They really need to get that energy of opening up the heart chakra, allowing the energy to release. We're allowing the energy of love where we've been hurt release, allowing the energy of reflection to release, opening up that space and allowing ourselves that self-care, allowing to create an area of reflection, an area of shadow work where we understand that the overall goals is to become one with the energy of moving forward and become one of releasing certain habits. I also do think that this is a time for us to understand that transformation can continue, even if it felt like it was something that you had to let go of, but the transformation is still there. That energy of transformation can definitely still occur. For the air signs, let's get into this reading. And it's kind of interesting for the air signs. So for the air signs, this is a time where, we are going to want to let go of the shadow with the relationships. We're going to, even though this is a very interpersonal part to do shadow work. But like I said, we have to let go of that area of the relationships that the shadow's been holding us back, and understand that we definitely have the right to be happy in our relationship. We have the right to feel loved in our relationship. We have the right to feel beautiful in our relationship. And if you're an air sign, this means that you are an Aquarius, you are a Libra, or you are a Gemini. So this is a time that the passion sometimes can get a hold of us, right? And looking at that shadow state, looking at those old energies of maybe a little insecurity, our old energies of a little low confidence, or maybe our own energies of shadow, seeing how they've taken in the relationship, seeing how they've taken place in certain energies of the relationship, and seeing how we can move past that, where we allow ourselves to become one with our sacred energy of who we are as the divine space of our individual practices, of who we are, of that, enjoying that time. And also, I would say for you that this is a time that while we do shadow work when it comes to relationships, but this is also a time for you to understand that your own areas of passion, desires, lust, and even if they were considered like something that was a mistake, but living in your divine energy at the moment and understanding that you're all human and that you're all centered around the energy of being a human being, and as humans, we make mistakes, right? We're not perfect. And allowing ourselves to move past that with this shadow season, to move past that energy of maybe feeling bad on ourselves, or feeling like we did something wrong because we made a mistake maybe in the relationship, if we did do that. And also allowing ourselves to gain the confidence of doing the reflection work, where we see that these traits might be something that keep coming back up. These habits might be something that keep coming back because there's certain components that we haven't fully let go in our area of setting intentions in the past. But it's also a time that we let it go now. We let it go now, in the emphasis that there is a symbolic significance with this eclipse, and there's a symbolic significance with letting spaces go that no longer serve us in the relationship. So take that time. And I want to thank everybody who is tuning in to this reading. And I hope you have an amazing, amazing, amazing full blood lunar I always mess up. Full moon lunar eclipse. So blood full moon lunar eclipse on March 25th. So I hope you guys have an amazing time and get that shadow work in. Okay, bye-bye. Take care. Bye.